Hello mga kasokol! Good morning! And we're out here in Historic Filipinotown. I'm Mick Diaz. I'm one of the admins of SoCal Pinoys. And it's a Saturday. Oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful day. And welcome to our very first episode of Ikaw ang Bida. And that means you're the stars. So each of you are the stars in the show. And we have our very first star of the morning, Jason Francisco. He's a daddy travels. And he's actually a father of four. And he shows us the possibilities of traveling using your credit cards and traveling for free. And he runs a travel group on Facebook called Daddy Travels Now, Miles Points, Dim Sum, and Then Some. Wow, that's a good title.
A lot of good
and
food.
where he shares many tips and tricks. So yeah, you can join his group as well and learn more about the things that he's going to talk to us about today. And yeah, so if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section, and we'll try to answer your questions in a little bit. Yeah, so let me introduce to you Jason Francisco. So everybody, #live or #replay and #Jason. Yay!
Thank you, Mick. Thank you for having me on the show today. Appreciate
You
it.
are so welcome. And in true Daddy Travels fashion, we're going to be showing you around Historic Filipinotown, or at least this little area of Historic Filipinotown. We are actually in Unidad Park here on Beverly Boulevard. And it's actually near Beverly and Union. Is one of the cornerstones of Historic Filipinotown. And if you guys don't know where Historic Filipinotown is, it's like literally like a few minutes from downtown LA. We've had this Filipino Americans have had this neighborhood since the 60s or 70s. Like, you know, our forefathers who came before us were actually living closer to downtown LA. And in 2001, then councilor Eric Garcetti, who is now the mayor, actually advocated for Filipino Americans to actually get this area, this district of LA named into Historic Filipinotown. So that's something that all of us Filipino Americans should be proud of. And right behind us is Gintong Kasaysayan, Gintong Pamana. It's a mural by Eliseo Art Silva, who is also a member of SoCal Pinoys. And he's a longtime muralist. He actually lived in Philadelphia for a long time, but he's actually now in SoCal. Yeah, and he is such a prolific muralist. So you can see his murals all over the U.S. And this mural right behind us recounts 5,000 years of Filipino and Filipino-American history. And so we'll talk to you about that later. And Jason and I are going to go over the mural later as well as other areas of Historic Filipinotown. And so let's get started. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Thank you. Again, thank you for inviting me to the show, the first episode for Ikaw ang Bida. And just the very first thing that struck me most is walking into this historic park right here with all of the things right behind us. And, I, as a Filipino American, have seen, familiar with quite a few of the faces that were painted up here. And it's quite moving to know so much history, not only in the Philippines, but we are able to celebrate these forefathers and the front runners and by painting their pictures back here. But a little bit about me. I'm just your average father. I'm married. I have a full-time job. We've got 4 kids. But about 6-7 years ago, I was traveling quite a bit for work. And I wanted to, I was earning miles and points with hotels and airlines. And I said, you know what? How can I earn more? Because I know that my travels to the East Coast and back to LA will probably result to maybe 1 round trip or maybe a couple of free nights stay. But I know that we love to travel, and so I just Googled one thing left. One thing, it moved from one to another, and one thing led to another, and I learned many different ways of earning points via credit cards. And so That's really how I started. Is by learning what ways I can use my trips and my credit cards and the points I earn with these credit cards, especially the sign up bonuses from these credit cards, and put them to good use for my own future travels. And so that was probably not 19, but 2014, 2015, 6 or 7 years
Oh,
later.
wow.
And we've been traveling the world for less, for nearly free, not only with our 4 kids, but I have shared my tips with my immediate family. They've traveled to Hawaii many times, to Europe, to the Philippines many times. And I also run my own Facebook group. I've got about 2,300 followers, and same thing with Instagram, about nearly a couple of thousand followers. So that's a little bit about my background. I'm not a travel agent. I think I want to make sure I clarify that. I
Mhm.
set that up. I set myself apart from those who travel or who have passions for travel. I'm not here to book people trips per se, but I am here to help make you realize or help enable you and learn that there are ways that you can use your daily expenses. We're talking groceries, gasoline, clothes, tuition, whatever your daily expenses are that you would probably normally just pay using cash or check. You know what? Why don't you use a credit card that will earn you sign up bonus and then use that towards a cashback or for future
Yes,
travels?
that is so true because, to live in the US, you literally have to have a credit card because everything
Absolutely.
runs on your credit, right? And
Absolutely.
you might as well use it for your own good, like traveling to all these places. So, speaking of traveling, I'm curious, what are your favorite destinations?
Right. Well, there's no doubt Philippines is one of them because I'm Filipino, and it's good to be coming home because you and I know, especially over the holidays. I mean, let me ask you, Mick, if you were to travel even just coach around the holidays, December, January timeframe, how much do you think an airfare from LA to Manila round trip would be?
Oh my gosh, that will run you at least about $2,000,
You
right?
know, about $1,000 to
Yeah.
$2,000, especially if you're one of those folks who need to fly first class or business class. It's even more. Just right before the pandemic, I can tell you the 10 of us flew to the Philippines. 10 in my family. Of those 10, 7 of us flew for free.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
Oh
we're
my
and we are
gosh.
talking right in the heart of the Christmas, New Year's time frame when it's really, really super expensive. And so, I mean, that's really one of the highlights. We were in Manila, we're in Makati, visited family in Caloocan and in Cavite. We also went to Siquijor. We had a wonderful time. And again, a lot of these things were possible because of the points earned with credit cards. Another favorite of ours, also in the same year, just maybe 8 months prior to the pandemic, we're now talking 19 members of our family flew from London to Tokyo, Los Angeles to Tokyo, Philippines to Tokyo. We all met in Japan, 19 of us. Of those 19, the 12 of us who flew from Los Angeles to Tokyo and back flew for free. How? Credit card points. And we're not talking bad airlines, but we're talking about ANA, which is ranked number 3 in the world. We flew coach, all right? But I would rather fly coach on an airline that's ranked number 3 in the world. And again, we only use our credit card points earned from these different credit card
Mhm.
sign up bonuses.
Yeah, that is so true. And since our show is all about highlighting the SoCal Pinoys members and how they can help our community. So speaking of how you can help our community,
Sure.
um, what are the different steps? What are the little baby steps that people can do to get to that level?
Sure.
To use credit cards. Like, what are the first things that they should do?
Right. I mean, one thing I'd like to, if I can even go a few steps before answering
Mm-hmm.
those questions. I mean, especially with the Asian community, with the Filipino community. I mean, I grew up, my parents, I want to say they raised me quite well. Get a credit card, make sure you pay your bills on time, right? And so with this hobby, not only do you need to pay your bills on time, but you need to pay your bills in full. Okay, so gone are the days where if you charge $1,000, let's say you buy a big screen TV and you pay $1,000 at Best Buy with a credit card, this hobby is not meant for those who will buy something worth $1,000, and then when your next month statement comes in, you only pay the minimum of $50.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to work. I mean, it will work with the credit card company by you paying the minimum, but this is best done if you spend $1,000, whether it's groceries or gasoline or clothes or whatnot. When the next statement comes, not only do you need to pay it in full, but you pay it on time. And there are quite many folks in the SoCal Pinoys group who have since joined my group and are learning that is one way of becoming responsible, because there are those, I want to say, the non-believers, the detractors. You know what? Credit cards are bad. They say credit cards are not good for you because what's the word in Tagalog? It's all about utang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Credit card is a bad thing. It will lead you to that sinkhole where if you do not pay your bills in full, you're going to end up with lots of utang. And I get it. Trust me, I get that. I am not denying that. But that will only happen to the folks who are not disciplined.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so there are many folks, especially the young ones, who will text me or call me, Kuya, can you help me? And the very first thing I say is, it's discipline. I will show you the road, but you need to be committed.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be committed to making sure that your bills are paid in full and on time. So that's one thing that I cannot um, help you with, because you have to be the one committed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing is, you need to make sure that you apply for the right credit cards. Again, growing up, and I'm sure a lot of us here, it's all about, oh my gosh, Banana Republic's offering 20% by offering a credit card. Oh, look, when I go into to Walmart, they're giving free soda. But you've seen those, right? You've seen a big table outside of Walmart or outside some store, and they will offer you free soda. And again, with this, it's all about picking the right set of credit cards.
Yes.
It's not just any credit cards. You cannot just look at, let's say, a B of A or a Wells Fargo. But if you really want to do this well, there are certain credit cards that we always talk about in our group, wherein these are the right set of credit cards to start with.
Yes, and a lot of those credit cards. So for people who haven't started in this venture,
Right.
a lot of those credit cards are hard to get, right?
Right.
And it's really about starting with the credit cards that you have currently, like those that you have now, and paying those off and paying those on time in full, right? And then once you get to that level, like you can apply for like those types of credit cards who have that have the points.
Right. I mean, there are some, like there are those who never had credit before, and so one of the good credit cards to start with, for instance, is a Discover card, Discover IT or Discover It card. There's no annual fee, and the very first purchase that you buy, even if you buy a $1 pack of gum, Discover will give you $50 as a bonus. And again, that will help you get some kind of a credit history. But if you have a credit score of over 690 and above, there are credit cards with Chase. And I talk a lot about this in our group, not because I'm not sponsored by Chase, guys. I am not. But it's just that's the credit card or the program that really opens up the window to many opportunities of free travels. There's a little bit of an annual fee, but the annual fee, like the card that I'm talking about, it's an annual fee of $95. But by using that credit card, for instance, next week, 6 of us are flying to Hawaii, to Maui, for free, using points, and we only paid $11 per person in fees, just $11. If you Google a trip to Maui in the heart of the summer, we're talking $700 per person round trip. Okay, so again, it's all about using these points properly, wisely, because these points are, just think of it as you having cash and I having cash. The way you spend it will be different than the way I spend it. So it's all about spending it wisely.
That is so true. And speaking of spending things wisely,
right?
Like we know, the world is now slowly opening up, and although it's opening up, the COVID cases are still rising out there, and some countries, are still closed to a lot of travelers. Um, what are the best ways, or what are the tips can you give our SoCal Pinoys members
Sure.
for traveling at this time?
Okay, first of all, I mean, I'm a real big advocate, obviously, of traveling, and you really have to do your homework. For instance, I have this article as far as, especially with folks here in this group, about traveling to the Philippines. Okay, what do we do before the pandemic? We buy a ticket, we get our balikbayan boxes, we fill that up with goodies for our friends and family. We go to the Philippines, we go to Boracay and Palawan, all that stuff, or wherever you want to go, and then fly back to the States, right? It was easy like that in the past, but right now it's not the same. If you go to the Philippines right now, there are certain tests that you got to do. You have to be quarantined for 10 days. And so what I'm getting at is you have to do your homework. You have to know what is expected of you before you travel. Otherwise, especially if you only have a 10-day vacation, or a 2 weeks vacation, 10 right now, traveling to the Philippines right now, 10 of those days, you will be stuck in a quarantine hotel. And so that's probably not the wisest. So no, not only in the Philippines, but make sure that when you do travel, whether it's Mexico or in Europe, or whatever country, make sure you do your homework, because each country is different. You also need to understand that if you are flying back to the US right now, the US is requiring a COVID test, a negative COVID test, before you fly back to the US. And there are different COVID tests out there, like antigen tests or PCR tests. For the US, for those who are traveling back to the US, you only need to get an antigen test. So you need to make sure you know that. The other thing that I would advise is, again, back to credit cards. A lot of the folks, would either pay cash, or maybe use PayPal, or pay by check, especially if they're working with a travel agency. It's very important, especially with a big travel, that your travel is protected. There are credit cards out there that offer travel protection and benefits, and you need to make sure you know what your benefits are. You need to know the cancellation policy, because otherwise, if the flight changes, if there's some kind of issue that happens along the way, you need to know your rights on how you can be protected, and maybe they can reschedule you at no cost, or maybe you can get your points back or your cash back. So you need to know all of those things.
That is so true. And this is really all about responsible consumerism and responsible traveling, right? Like, it's all about being a responsible adult,
Right, absolutely.
right?
And really, it's knowing what's available to you, because the last thing I tell folks is, please do not buy a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 airfare and you're going to give someone cash. There needs to be some kind of a paper trail. You need to protect yourself. You need to
so
protect
true.
that person as well that you are buying it from. So make sure you use a credit card with protection, with travel protection, benefits protection. And those are the things that I want to make sure that our listeners are learning.
Okay, so while I'm looking for questions from our viewers, so who is live act? Is it me or you? Oh, I'm asking Arvin. He's actually behind the camera. It's you? It's me? I'm the one who's live? Oh, okay. So people want to know, does Jason speak Tagalog?
I do. I speak Tagalog po, and I'm just more comfortable in English, but I can answer in Tagalog.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yes. So, like, just send us your questions. Send nyo lang yung mga question nyo for Jason, and we'll try to answer them before we actually go show you around Historic Filipinotown. What does he do
Oh my
for a
gosh.
living? Yeah, so that's
Oh
something
my
that a lot
gosh.
of people are curious about. How are you able
Right.
to, get your credit card, your credit score, and your credit card, like, history up,
Sure.
right? And be
Good.
able to afford all these things, because to get credit card points, you have to spend, right? You have
Absolutely.
to spend and pay your credit cards in full and on time.
Absolutely.
So what do you do for a living?
Sure. I'm boring job. I work for a telecommunications company, and I'm an auditor. And so it's something I don't blog about, because it's really just a job. And I am very flexible. I'm able to work remotely from home. And even before the pandemic, I've already been doing that. And prior to that, I was also working for another telecommunication company where I was doing a lot of process improvement. And so all of these things, the research kind of thing, it comes quite naturally for me. It's easy for me. My job today, it's busy, but it also allows me the flexibility because I'm able to work early hours and finish early enough during the day, and I still have the rest of the day for myself. Mick, you asked me about how do we purchase all of these things, or what are the things that we purchase? I mean, good question. For instance, and I'll give you a perfect example. Um, the one credit card that I'm talking about right now, the one that earns you 100,000 points, which is the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and maybe we can share that link later.
Mm-hmm.
The Chase Sapphire Preferred, a lot of these credit cards, they ask you, well, for us to give you 100,000 points, by the way, 100,000 points could mean $1,000 cash back. All right.
Oh wow.
So the annual fee on that card is 95 bucks. So guys, here we go. You're going to pay for a credit card with an annual fee of 95 bucks, right? And they're going to give you an option. You know what? I don't know how to use these points for traveling, pero I will just give you $1,000, Mr. Customer, as your cash back. So you're already winning just by signing up for this credit card because of this $1,000 cash back. But like what I told you, those same 100,000 points, right now, we use about 70,000 points to get us 6 round trip tickets to Maui in the heart of the summer. And if you look up Google flights online, how much it costs to fly to Maui right now, we are sweating here in LA. You know, it's
Yeah.
about $700 or more per person. And so just those 6 or 7 tickets or 6 tickets could easily get you around $3,000 in value. So again, it's knowing what these cards can do for you. So what are the things that we buy? All right, what are the things that we buy that because not everybody? I'm not saying that folks you should be like me. No, because I tease myself and say I'm kind of like the guy on steroids. I don't take steroids, but I'm kind of like the guy on steroids because I tend to make sure I strategically use my credit cards to buy X, Y, and Z. So what do we buy?
And
Um,
those big ticket items.
yeah, it does not have to be big ticket items. You can use credit cards to pay for, if you're a member of the gym, you can pay for your credit cards using your gym membership, your utilities, your food, your dining, your gas, if you have kids, you can pay using tuition. And so, um, you know what, this is truly on the spot. This is my wallet, Mick. I have $1 in my wallet. All right, I'm not joking. This is not stage, but honestly, I'm even surprised to see $1 in there because you know why? Every single purchase is worth some kind of point,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really the point that I'm trying to make. Is that we all, we are not, we don't go to a gas station or the supermarket to use our debit card. I am not saying that using a debit card is wrong. No, that is not my point. But using cash, using check, using a debit card will not earn you points for travel. It does not lead you to anything. But if you use a points earning credit card, a points earning cashback card, or travel rewards card, and then you might as well use that
Mm-hmm.
and take advantage of it. So again, just think of every single item that you purchase where a credit card is allowed by the merchant, we swipe and charge.
That is so true.
Right.
And we do have another question. So what are your tips for the younger generation?
Good.
Because really, like for the younger generation, it's all about building your credit, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can't get to the level of earning points without starting from the very beginning,
Absolutely.
right?
I'm glad, I'm glad you asked that question, and I'll give you, and especially not only for the young kids or those who are 18 and in their early 20s. For the parents who are here on listening in or watching, you can add your kids as authorized users. For instance, again, we have 4 kids. 2 of our 4 kids
Oh wow.
right now, they have been authorized users on 1 or 2 of our credit cards since they were 13 years old. There are some credit cards that will even allow you to make them authorized users even before that. Okay, and so what does that do? First of all, it's kind of like it helps influence my good credit history upon them. So if my credit score is 800, they're not going to get an 800 score, but basically they're going to get, they're going to have that kind of background or history that I have today. And so, for the parents, go ahead. I mean, if you want to, you can entertain the idea of adding your kids as authorized users. And I'll give you a perfect case in point. My son turned 18, 19 about a year and a half ago. He's been an authorized user since he was 13. And when it finally came time to apply on his own, like what I said, I mentioned the Discover card earlier. He was able to apply for a Discover card on his own with no mom, no dad backing him up. I mean, I obviously showed him the way, but it was just me who told him that this would be the card to get because it will help him establish his name. And then just a few months after that, Chase invited him, pre-approved him, right when he was still, I think, just about to turn 20 for this Chase Sapphire Preferred, which could now get you 100,000 points. So you need to make sure that start them young. If you do not trust your kids, and again, I don't blame the parents, for adding their kids as authorized users. You can add them. The card will come to your house in an envelope addressed to you, and you can just keep the card and hide the card. They don't need to physically use the card. Okay, so that's just something that they can do to get started.
Mhm. And so that's something that a lot of people don't know. Like I
Right,
didn't even
right.
know that. Like you can actually authorize them, and it's really like paying it forward. So if you've like set like responsible behavior for yourself, it just kind of like you have to like pass it down to your own kids, right?
Absolutely, and that's really it. Because especially with our kids, um, you know, you and I, we grew up in a different time. Cell phone is a necessity these days, and having a computer or a laptop is a necessity these days. It's not so much a luxury. And so when our kids would say, they need this or they need that, they will come to us already saying, "Mom, Dad, I need this. Which credit card should we use?" Because they know better that mom and dad will not be there to write a check. Mom and dad will not be there to give cash unless the company that we're purchasing is it from is not accepting checks, credit cards, and that's fine. But they know better that. But whenever there is a purchase, or even for, and again, another idea for those with kids, because my daughter was in cheerleading, my son was in football, basketball, and all of these other sports, there are fees that you pay, and so we gladly paid those fees, those uniforms using credit cards. And again, it earned us points.
That
Okay.
is so awesome. And so that's something that, a lot of us can benefit from, like, so the responsibility of using credit cards, finding out how to use them strategically, and yeah, having fun along the way. Um, and so my phone died, so I'm not going to be able to like see your questions. My phone overheated. But I know there's one question from Hilarion. So Hilarion Castillo, thank you so much for watching, and hi to your family out there. And he does have a question. So what's the difference between a COVID test and an antigen
Yeah.
test?
To be perfectly honest with you, I am not in the healthcare field. Because I am a financial kind of a guy, I can tell you that an antigen test is cheaper than a PCR test. Because again, there's a PCR test and there's an antigen test, and if I'm not mistaken, they are both tests where a swab goes up your nose, or maybe they even use a swab up around your mouth. But do not quote me on that. But for those who are financially, I don't want to say strained, but who are looking for something that um, is looking for something that is probably a cheaper way out, an antigen test typically is cheaper than a PCR test. Okay, and you can just ask the healthcare professional who is offering this test that for the U.S. when you fly out here, all you need is an antigen test. When we were in Cancun twice this past spring, we were in Cancun in March, and we went back again in May. Um, Hyatt, where we stayed, offered two COVID tests. And all we told them is all we need is an antigen test. It was covered by Hyatt for free, but the PCR test was not free. So it's something to keep in mind.
Yes, and is that the $39
Yeah,
one?
it was about a $39, and I think the PCR test is a bit more, over $100 more. So again, for those who are flying back to the US, all you need is an antigen test. If we have viewers who are flying to Hawaii and you are unvaccinated, you will need a PCR test. And there are insurance companies like Kaiser Permanente and Walgreens, for instance, they will offer the test that's needed for Hawaii, the PCR test at no cost to you.
Yes, and I'm sure a lot of you want to find out what Jason's favorite destinations and most memorable
Right.
things that happened to him during his travels,
Right.
right?
I mean, definitely, as I mentioned earlier, Japan, I think I talked about the 19 of us. I mean, imagine 19 Filipinos, okay? We were in Japan for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh my
2 weeks,
gosh.
2 weeks. And again, Japan, for those who have never been to Japan, it's not a place where, you know what, I'm just going to take Uber or maybe rent a car and go around, right? I mean, it's really a place where it's best for you to bring on a carry-on and a luggage, or a carry-on
That is so
luggage,
true.
not a big luggage, because guys, you know, there are so many stairs and elevators and whatnot. You know, if the escalators or the elevator doesn't work, guess what? Ikaw ang bubuhat nun. All right.
Yes, that is so true.
Right. And so I have a picture to share later. Us leaving out of LAX, there were 9 of us who were leaving out of LAX. Out of the 9, you can count 9 of us, 9 bodies, but there were only 8 carry-ons. Okay, these are Filipinos who would normally bring the whole wardrobes, right? You know,
And boxes.
and boxes. But to Japan, guys, it's different. The less you bring, and what do? There are places where we stayed where laundry was available. There were places where we stayed where we were able to just wash our clothes, and again, just bring light clothing. You don't need to bring big, unless you're going in the heart of the winter, but you don't need to bring big, thick jackets or whatnot. We were able to wash them, dry them overnight, or dry them while we're gone during the day, and they were dry. And so it's not always a fashion show, because honestly, I told the kids, especially the kids, guys, you pack it, you bring it, you haul it, you carry
it yourself.
You carry it.
Yes.
Daddy's not going to do it for you.
That is so true. And and taxis in Japan are very expensive.
Absolutely.
And there's so many subways and trains. But thing is, in Japan, like the subways are all owned by different railway companies, so they're not connected to each other.
You have to know.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you get on one, you go down an elevator, go upstairs, and go to the other platform or to the next station. Yeah, so they're not all connected. So it's really difficult. So Jason's suggestion is really, really helpful, because I've experienced that myself. Like I brought a carry-on and that was it.
Right.
And I
it's
surprised
liberating.
myself.
It's liberating.
Like I could do it.
It's liberating.
Yeah, and there's like most hotels have laundry service, and of course there are like laundromats all over the place, and vending machines and all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to add again, because I know we cater to the Filipino community. People are asking, paano naman ang pasalubong? Right? What about the goodies that you're going to bring home? And I get it.
There's Don Quixote.
Don Quixote, there's Donkey, there's the Kit Kat bar. I mean, those are heavy. Guess what we did as a family? My brother-in-law, and I mentioned this to him. I said, Kuya, why don't we just get a regular box? We were in Donkey, actually. Here, get a regular box, like a store box, right? Yeah. And we were able to pack all of our stuff in there. And this is like towards the last day or the last couple of days. And so we used that box and we sealed it, and that became not even shipped. No, we traveled with it back to LA.
Oh, okay.
So that became one of the regular checked luggage. But this is something we did not push around Japan anymore.
Yeah.
We were towards our last couple of days in Japan.
Yeah, do your shopping like
that's it.
When you're almost done with
exactly.
the trip, right?
Don't carry your Starbucks mugs and everything all over Japan. You're just going to be carrying it the entire time.
Yeah, and one tip from me is that, when you plan your travel, like make sure like you go to the area that has the most shopping, like towards the end. Like so in Japan, there's Akihabara, there's Harajuku, there's Omotesando. They have like so many hubs for shopping, and you do that on the second to the last day. And so you don't have to worry about lugging them wherever you go.
Absolutely. Good one.
Yeah.
That's really what we did. I mean, and we had a great time. we had a wonderful time. We took the Shinkansen. We went to Kyoto. We went to Osaka. We just had a wonderful time with the family. And I really we had a return trip that the pandemic kind of skewed for us, and so we're hoping to come back to Japan again.
Yes, and that's something that a lot of us can look forward to. It could be like an aspirational thing, like so build our credit, be responsible, um, pass down their responsibility to our kids, and also have fun in traveling and start planning to travel if and when we can. Like so, when everything really opens up, we're like, hey, I want to go to this place and I know how to get there and etc.
Absolutely.
That is so cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, love Japan. Another one, Bali. Bali. Oh my gosh, if you want your money to stretch, I mean, I'm gonna combine Bali and Taiwan. Taiwan honestly was a surprise for me. It was so clean, so organized, excellent transportation system, great food. We went twice. One was just me and my wife. The second time was we were en route to the Philippines. So there were 10 of us. We stopped in Taiwan and we ate at the very first Din Tai Fung, with the family just during our layover. And we went back to the airport. But Taiwan, again, excellent, very clean. And we love our stay in Taiwan. Bali, as much as I love big hotels, but I think the beauty of Bali are the little boutique hotels. We stayed in a place, it was just so glorious. Right as you walked out of our room, we had our own a spa pool, and it was just so beautiful. And again, we use points to book these properties, and it's so many more destinations. Love Europe. Took my kids to Europe, Paris, Lisbon, London, Rome, Milan, Iceland. I don't even know where Iceland was until this happened.
Did you meet Bjork?
I did not meet Bjork, no, but we went to the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, and again,
so awesome.
My Iceland trip actually got me into the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. I'm Pinoy, and so I love to eat inside the plane. And there was an airline, Wow Air, flying us from LA to Iceland direct for $99. And they're very conspicuous and are known for nickel and diming you. If you bring this, they'll charge you. If you bring that, they'll charge you. So I said, I wonder if I ask for hot water, will they charge me? So I had my cup of noodles, my ramen with me. I asked for hot water. They didn't charge me. I blogged about it, and the Wall Street Journal caught on to the blog and did not feature me alone, but I was part of a group of travelers who make budget traveling work. So that was exciting.
That is so awesome. Congratulations
Thank you.
Your feature in the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
And yes, going back to Bali, yes,
right.
Bali is one of those places that's cheap, and you can learn a lot from your trip to Bali.
Absolutely.
And it's beautiful as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That is so cool. And are you guys ready to go around Historic Filipinotown? So let us know. Hashtag Historic Filipinotown. And there is a reason why we're doing this episode of Ikaw ang Bida in Historic Filipinotown. It's really to bring visibility for Historic Filipinotown. The people who've come before us, like from the 60s and 70s, they've rallied for the Filipino-American community here in the U.S., and especially in LA. And in 2001, we finally got our district called Historic Filipinotown, and a lot of people out there are trying to change the name. They're actually lobbying and advocating for changing the name to some other name, right? And we Filipino Americans, should advocate for keeping the name Historic Filipinotown so that we have our own district, just like Koreatown, Chinatown, Little Tokyo, and whatnot. Right, Jason?
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's really good to be around this area. I mean, I frequent this area. We've got family here, and so I'm a bit familiar with the area. It's close to downtown LA. We go to the Amundsen and watch shows quite a bit. But to be perfectly honest with you, I've never seen this park until today. So really, thank you for allowing me this opportunity. It's great.
And as everything opens up, in the near future, I know a lot of places are booking concerts and events and all of that stuff. We will have more events here in historic Filipino town. So that's something that you should look out for, and we'll be announcing them really, really soon. And I know, like right now, there's something happening at Tribogs, and so the Samakana caravan is actually there. So Angge and everybody, like all the people, all the vendors that we know from Samakana caravan are actually there, and they'll be there from like 12 to 2 or something like that. But yeah, Tribogs is open, and that's on Temple Street. That's on the north side of historic Filipino town, but we are on the south side of historic Filipino town, and we will show you around. Are you guys ready? Let's go. This is gonna be very exciting. So we'll see how we're gonna bring our camera around to show you historic Filipino town. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Yeah.
Let's do
So
it.
in true Daddy Travels fashion, we are going to quote unquote travel.
That's right. Exactly. Let our feet do the walking.
Yes, let our feet do the walking, and there are no credit card points involved.
That's right.
But we're just here in historic Filipino town, right at your. This mural right in front of us is actually a mural called Gintong Kasaysayan Gintong Pamana by Eliseo Art Silva. He's a really prolific muralist and artist. And yeah, so it recounts 5,000 years of Filipino and Filipino American history. And so we're going to go here on the very left side because that's where it starts.
This is so inspiring.
So this place takes us all the way down to the Cordillera Mountain regions where the Banawe rice terraces are, and our Igorot culture and all of the different tribes. And that's Lapu-Lapu, and we have Dr. Husarsal, of course, our national hero, and all of the different tribes, representatives of tribes from all of the different areas of the Philippines. And we have the Philippine eagle, which is the national bird. And of course, we have the Declaration of Independence by Emilio Aguinaldo in Cavite. Yeah, that's Andres Bonifacio. We have Gregorio del Pilar. And that's like when Filipinos first arrived in the United States, the Manila Village 1763 in Louisiana. And they were actually, Filipinos were very instrumental in starting the shrimp business of the South in New Orleans and Louisiana. Um, they were very instrumental in doing that. And so that's Carlos Bulosan, who wrote The Philippines is in the Heart, or America is in the Heart. Actually, he has 2 books. And who else is here? Yeah, and so coming up here in the middle, we have the United Farmers Workers Union, and we have Philip Veracruz and Larry Itliong, who were instrumental in the grape strike of the 60s, along with Cesar Chavez, of course. They were actually the ones who convinced Cesar Chavez to join the boycott and the strike for the grapes, right? And so that's Philip Veracruz and Larry Itliong on the right side. And I know Larry Itliong's family members still live in Delano in the Central Valley. And coming up right here, that's Cory Aquino with Marcos's bus. And this is the People Power Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got rep right there. That's Historic Filipino Town, next exit sign, along with the Mamang Sorbetero. And so all of these people are luminaries of like the Filipino American community, and Lea Salonga is also included in this mural.
Pacquiao.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, of course, is here. Jessica Sanchez is also here in this mural. Charisse is here. Apple the app is also here. Yeah. And yeah, this is swearing of government Benjamin Cayetano in Hawaii.
Right.
Yeah, so that so right here it says Unidad Park reflects its Filipino roots. So that's recounting our history. Um, yeah, and it's actually it says here it's located in historic Filipino town. Unidad or Unity Park is an important landmark. This park dates back to the 1970s, when all of these Filipino grassroots organizations were established, like SIPA, Search to Involve Filipino Americans. We have FACLA. So all of these organizations that we know that actually still exist have been around for more than 30 years. And they were all located here in historic Filipino town. Yeah, so it's actually called Gintong Kasaysayan, Gintong Pamana, a Glorious History, a Golden Legacy. And so we will be checking out some really cool places around Unidad Park.
Who maintains it? Is it the city?
It's the city of LA. It's actually in charge of all of the parks and recs.
Okay.
So all of the parks, like if you guys want to have events, you should contact the city of LA. There's actually this organization called the Land Trust
Right.
of LA.
Right.
Yeah, but it's through the city of LA. We have like an ice cream truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're walking west, and so right next to the Unidad Park is actually Ride Back Studios, and Ride Back Studios was the one who that produced the Lego movie. So they produce a lot of movies and shows here, and this is like one of the few major studios that are here in the area. There's quite a bit of smaller sound stages and studios owned by the larger companies. So these are a few murals. So if you remember the Good Shepherd nun from Baguio, and around here is another stenciled image of Larry at Leong.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
this is still part of the studio right here.
Yes, and there's actually a light box project in LA, and it's through the city of LA. There's a public arts and public spaces program.
Right.
So wouldn't you want to paint your own light box too?
Boba guys.
So this is Boba guys. They sell boba and milk tea, and they actually have some ube and calamansi.
Right.
With calamansi tea with boba also. And right here, so we're at the corner of Union and Beverly. And so this is one of the murals that we have. So this is actually still owned by Ryback. Yeah. Isn't that a cool mural?
Yeah.
So that's like the Lego.
So this is private?
Yeah, this is private.
Okay.
This whole building is actually owned by Ryback Studios.
Okay, gotcha.
So this parking lot is always closed. It's for employees and yeah. And so this is one of the cornerstones of historic Filipino town. We're actually in the middle, but yeah, this is near the southwest corner. So we're on Beverly and Union. Like it's really historic in terms of historic Filipino town. And this is the location of Little Ogpien. And Little Ogpien has been around for more than 25 years.
My fave.
In the same location.
Mickey Bihon's the word.
Yeah, and they have siomai and siopaw, and we'll see what they have.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
so cool. Yeah, so we're just waiting out here.
I don't know how
So if our camera dies, yeah, thank you for tuning around, tuning
right.
in on our show, and we'll see you at the next episode of Ikaw ang Bida. And if you want to be part of this show and you want us to interview you and you have some things to share to our SoCal Pinoys members, let us know. And I'll gladly come to your place and do somewhat of the same thing.
And to those who want to follow my group or my Instagram page, Mick, I think
Yes.
I'll add it to the comment section so you can
Yes.
post it as well.
And maybe we can share some links to the credit
Yeah,
cards that you
absolutely.
were talking about.
Good deal.
And so we're outside Little Ogpin and we'll see what they have. Like it's a tour place, but some of them can be made to order too. Really? Oh wow.
I'll follow
There
you.
you go.
I've not been here in years.
So we're inside Little Ogpin. Hello po. Yeah, so this is what they have right now. Like everything is making me hungry. Yeah, so para po sa mga SoCal Pinoys members, we're here in Little Ogpin. They're located on Beverly Boulevard, corner of Union, here in Historic Filipinotown. Hello po! So we're just showing SoCal Pinoys po yung what you have inside. Kayo po ang owner? Hello po, I'm Mick Diaz and we have Jason Francisco
Hello.
and
Hello po.
Arvin Pasamba. Members po kami ng SoCal Pinoys. So we're just showing them around Historic Filipinotown and we were talking about how Little Ogpin has been in this area for a very, very long time po. Oh, 39 years? Ano pong pangalan ninyo? Opo. Meron pa kayong ibang branch, di ba? Ah, okay. Sige po. So this is the downtown location and they also have one branch in Hollywood and another branch in Eagle Rock. The one in Hollywood. Yeah, so the one in Hollywood is actually on Sunset. The corner street is Mariposa and in Eagle Rock it's on Avenue 40. Okay, so yeah, and we're gonna show you like the diversity of like the food places here in Historic Filipinotown. So we're gonna cross the street and go to Hi-Fi Kitchen.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, yeah. I was supposed to get that one. Yeah, we're gonna cross the street
I've never been to Hi-Fi Kitchen.
and go to Hi-Fi Kitchen, and we'll see. Yeah, so there's a reason why we're doing this. So Little Ogpin is more of your traditional Filipino food, right? Like Filipino Chinese food, and Hi-Fi Kitchen is Filipino American food.
It's a fusion.
Yeah, it's fusion. It's really about like the owner's experiences in Los Angeles, being a Filipino American in Los Angeles.
Right. They're really doing a lot to revitalize the area.
Yes. And so
Where are we going?
for those people who are interested in participating, we're looking for people like you, kind of do the same thing like us, like advocate for Historic Filipinotown.
Absolutely. I forgot to mention earlier, with SoCal Pinoys, we have a lot of startups, folks who, especially during the pandemic, who started doing their own business. I know we talked a lot about credit cards and personal credit cards, but there is a whole different opportunity for those with a business. You don't need to have a big business like this. it could be a small startup, and that is a business.
They can earn points for travel too?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So just something to think about.
So we're here at 1667 Beverly Boulevard. This is the location of Hi-Fi Kitchen. We're right across the Boba Guys where we were earlier. And so let's walk in. So Hi-Fi Kitchen is not quite open. They're open, but you can't eat inside due to COVID. Yeah. Hi, Justin. We are actually here because of SoCal Pinoys. We're doing our show Ikaw Ang Bida, and I just interviewed Jason Francisco, Daddy Travels. He travels.
How you doing? Good. You?
He travels using credit card points, and we just wanted to say hi to you and say hi to everyone else. Yeah, so this is Justin Peronda.
Oh gosh, we're going to Maui next week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So,
he travels
Cancun, Philippines, Bali,
single
Singapore, whatever.
So,
Like whatever.
where are you going after?
We've got New York, Maldives.
From Maui to-
Oh no! I mean, we've got a little break in between.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say, that's a lot of points, bro.
It is a lot of points. It is a lot of points.
Time to earn some points.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
We have to
Never
take a
ending.
break
You
after.
should get points for your business.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I just booked a flight to Vegas with my points, so you should be proud of me, bro.
There you go.
Yeah,
Are you
so-
in my group?
No.
Daddy
Okay, so Daddy
Travels.
Travels now. I mean, it'll be
Yeah.
linked to this one.
Got you.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll find
and-
you.
So this is one of the businesses, the startup businesses that Jason was talking about earlier. So there are a lot of
Yeah.
Filipino American startup businesses, and Justin is going into his third year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So say a little bit something about Hi-Fi Kitchen, how it started, and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
so, well, I don't know if it's 3 years. COVID year doesn't really count. So it's asterisk, right? But yeah, I was born and raised in the neighborhood, and I grew up here. Kind of just wondering why, like Filipinotown isn't as recognizable as Chinatown, as Tokyo. When you go to Koreatown, you go to your Koreatown. That's like,
We don't have a town.
why don't we have like a, something that's why doesn't our town look like that? So, growing up here and now, being an adult and able to, contribute to the neighborhood and the community, I decided to open a restaurant to really help bring some visibility to the neighborhood and, just honor the cultural destination and the melting pot that is Los Angeles. We use a platform, which is food, to support community and creativity and culture. And yeah, I mean, this is just kind of the way that I want to contribute to the culture, Philippine culture.
Very nice.
What kind of food do you have?
Yeah, so we call it Filipino Angelino food. I wasn't born in the Philippines. I was born here in LA, so we really just honor the disposition of being bicultural. I think that's something that a lot of people can connect with, whether you're Filipino or not, Mexican American, Armenian American, Thai American, things like that. I think that's like something that an experience that a lot of Asian Americans go through, or just bicultural people in general, and that's like a disposition to celebrate in and of itself. And I feel like food is a very cool way to have that conversation. So, but yeah, dude,
Very
thanks
nice.
so much. Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of an order. Right
Okay,
now,
no.
so I wanna-
Thank you for having us.
But thank you
So
guys.
much,
Yeah.
Justin.
Take it easy.
And they do have an event tomorrow, right? Jason.
Yeah. Eat Your Feelings Ice Cream is going to be here tomorrow. He's going to be scooping up desserts, and we're going to have a patio out. We're just trying it out. We've been building a patio for quite a while, and yeah, I mean, come through, hang out, and see how you like it.
Very cool.
Nice meeting you, bro.
Thank you.
And so once again, Jason of Eat Your Feelings will be here at Hi-Fi Kitchen to serve you up some really awesome ice cream flavors, and they're all based on his feelings. And his Eat Your Feelings ice cream business actually started when he and his girlfriend of that time broke up, and so all of the ice cream flavors are based on like his feelings, at certain points in his life. And so it's really awesome. Like he has like the coolest flavors, and it's one of my favorite ice creams. So check it out tomorrow. Jason of Eat Your Feelings Ice Cream is going to be here, and we're going to be checking out some dishes from Hi-Fi Kitchen. So we'll see you guys later, and share this video to your friends. And if you have any questions for Jason, go ahead and message Jason Francisco or join Daddy Travels Facebook group, right?
That's right. That's right.
And
It'll be on the comment section after the interview. I'll make sure I go to the live segment and I'll add my Instagram and the Facebook group, and you guys can join and ask questions and learn at the same time.
And give us suggestions on who you want to see. If you know anyone who can share some tips and some advices to our SoCal Pinoy's members, that will be great. So let us know, or let me know. You can message me directly as well, and we'll gladly do this thing for you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.